Jose Sabulpe, si Marcos. He was probably the only leader of two leaders who knew the Filipino soul and the Filipino heart very, very well. The other one was Ninoy.
Bago nag-martial law, si Ninoy Aquino ay isang tradisyonal na politiko. Isang henyo sa larangan ng politika, pero tradisyonal na politiko pa rin. Tulad ni Marcos, eksperto siya sa paggamit ng mga tradisyonal na instrumento ng eleksyon sa Pilipinas. Guns, goons, and gold. Tulad ni Marcos, isa siyang balimbing. Umalis siya sa Partido Nasyonalista at sumama sa Partido Liberal noong nasa poder ang Partido Liberal.
Ninoy was, as everybody knew, he was very ambitious and he really wanted to be president. And his whole life was politics. I mean, he was not yet 23 when he became mayor, and everything was just planned for that 1973 election.
He has driven away all tourists, which accounts for about $100 million. He has driven away foreign capital. He is causing now a retrenchment of local industries. He is causing a flight of local capital. Now, when these things finally bring their full impact on the Filipino people, let's say 6 months from now, his problems will be compounded. And then,
nagbago ang buhay at pananaw ni Ninoy dahil sa karanasan niya sa ilalim ng martial law. Ikinulong si Ninoy sa salang subversion, murder, and illegal possession of firearms. Nilitis siya sa isang hukumang militar at hinatulan ng kamatayan.
5 of the members present at the time the vote was taken, concurring sentences, each one of you, to suffer the penalty of death by firing squad.
May panahong sila ni Senador Jose Diokno ay magkahiwalay na binartolina sa Fort Magsaysay sa Nueva Ecija. Sa loob ng 43 araw ng solitary confinement, pareho silang inkomunikado. Wala silang nakitang ibang tao liban sa kanilang mga gwardya at walang nakakaalam kung saan sila inilipat, kung buhay sila o patay.
It was also, I guess, his most humiliating experience. Now, here is a senator of the Republic, a potential president, stripped naked when he's brought to Fort Magsaysay. His eyeglasses, his wedding ring, everything is taken away from him. He is just issued two sets of underwear, you know, his briefs and his undershirt, which he is made to wash every morning so that you know, we can have a clean change every day. And that is when he really well, first he asked, that was also his lowest. That was the first time I saw Ninoy cry. And for the first time, I thought that we were really defeated.
But in the depths of my desolation, I discovered my faith in my God. And it was only then that I realized I'm nothing. I realized that all the pomp, the glory of the Senate were ephemeral. That wealth, that clothing, keeping up with the Joneses, was not of this world, really. And having discovered that, I have lost my appetite for power.
Hindi nawala ang diwa ng protesta. Sa kulungan, naglunsad si Ninoy ng hunger strike. 40 araw siyang hindi kumain. Nanghina siya at muntik ng mamatay. Nang magkasakit siya sa puso, hiniling niyang magpa-opera sa Estados Unidos.
I told them, where can I have my operation? Dito lang po, sa heart center. And that's the heart center of Imelda Marcos. And I asked, who can do the operation for me? The director said, ako lang po. He was the director of the heart center. Handpicked also by Imelda. I said, Doctor, pagpaliban mo na kako. Thank you na lang. I said, if they cannot operate on me in America, please bring me to my cell.
Pumayag si Marcos. Maaaring inisip nito na hihina ang oposisyon kung wala si Ninoy sa Pilipinas. Samantalang babango naman ang reputasyon ng diktadura sa harap ng mundo.
May 8. My wife visited me early in the morning and she told me, the hospital is crawling with Metrocom cars. Guards all over the place. Baka kami magbibisita sa iyo. Then all of a sudden, my guards started jumping, putting their barong Tagalog, hiding all of their guns. I said, tama, may darating na VIP. And then lo and behold, the beautiful one ascended into my suite. She came, and she was really beautiful. She has not aged, and she sat down and said, "Naku, Ninoy," sabi niya, "I'm sorry to see you like that. Would you like to go to America?" Abay ka ako, sure. Oo. Eh sa tuwa ko, tinanggal ko pa yung aking kwintas, kako anting-anting ko ito, iwanan ko na ka-prepare dito. Palayasin na niyo ako, pumunta niyo ako sa Amerika. Sabi niya, there's a plane leaving at 6 o'clock. You can be in that plane.
Yellow ribbon round the old oak tree. It's been 3 long years. Do you still want me?
From living under the dictatorship, having your husband in prison, and wow, it was just such an abnormal life. And you've lived that life for 7 years and 7 months, and suddenly you're living together in a house. You can speak freely on the phone. People are nice to you. You can do so many things, and then Ninoy has at least a decent kind of life.
Sa Estados Unidos, sumama si Ninoy sa ilang grupong kontra sa diktadura. Isa na rito ang Movement for a Free Philippines na kinabibilangan nina Raul Manglapos at Gerson Alvarez. Pagkaraan ng 3 taong pagkadistyero sa Estados Unidos, gusto nang umuwi ni Ninoy. Sa tingin ng mga oposisyonistang naiwan sa Pilipinas, siya lamang ang may kakayahang mamuno at magbuklod sa tradisyonal na oposisyon. Kung wala siya, mangingibabaw ang mga komunista sa hanay na mga lumalaban sa diktadura.
And so he wanted to come back, have an audience with Marcos, and try to persuade him to call for clean and orderly elections.
Daligalig ang gobyerno sa plano ni Ninoy. Para mapigilan ng kanyang pag-uwi, kinansela ang kanyang pasaporte at winarningan siya na may mga magtatangkang pumatay sa kanya kung sakaling umuwi siya.
Nung nagkita kami ni Ninoy, sabi ko, Ninoy, ang sabi ni Presidente, okay na okay daw. In fact, matagal ka nang hinihintay niya eh. Ilang taon na yun, nagtataka siya, ba't hindi ka pa umuwi? Sabi ni Presidente Marcos, okay na okay, pwede kang umuwi. Ngunit, sabihin mo sa amin kung kailan ka uwi. It is to help secure you sapagkat alam niyo, ang iba dito, ang isip ikaw is CIA, ang iba naman NPA. Sino ka ba? Eh siyempre yung NPA nagsiselo sa CIA, ang CIA naman magsiselo sa NPA. Kaya, for your security, you inform us.
Noong panahong iyon, malubhana ang sakit ni Marcos. Bagamat inililihim ng Malacanang ang kanyang tunay na kalagayan, kalat na kalat ang balitang meron siyang lupus erythematosus, isang sakit na posibleng makamatay.
President Marcos at that time, August 21, was not only sick, he was dying because there was a rejection of his kidney transplant on August 7. He was dying. And so sabi niya, tawagin mo si General Ver, who was there, and he said, ask if Ninoy is arriving. Ang sabi naman ni General Ver, I don't think so, sir, kasi matagal na yung balita, wala naman dumadating, at saka hindi naman tayo ni-inform.
May sari-saring espekulasyon kung bakit pinipigilan ng pag-uwi ni Ninoy noong panahong iyon. Nakatakdang dumalaw si Presidente Ronald Reagan ng Estados Unidos at maaaring ayaw ng rehimen na nasa Pilipinas si Ninoy pagdating ng araw na iyon. Maaaring natatakot ang rehimen na mabubulabog ang eleksyon para sa batasang pambansa na nakatakdang idaos sa 1984. May haka-haka rin na sina Imelda at General Ver ay may planong sunggaban ang kapangyarihan oras na mamatay si Marcos. At natatakot silang baka masira ang plano nila kung darating si Ninoy. Gayunman, nakagawa si Ninoy ng paraan para malusutan ang mga balakid sa kanyang pagbabalik. Nakakuha siya ng peking pasaporte sa pangalang Marcial Bonifacio. at dumaan muna siya sa ibang bansa para lituhin ng sino mang sumusubaybay sa kanya.
You have to be very ready with your hand camera because this action can become very fast.
Yes.
In a matter of 3-4 minutes, it could be all over, you know. And I may not be able to talk to you again after this.